Something that the cults frequently did to me and other kids, the interconnected KKK satanic and Nazi cults and some other cults that were intergenerational, interconnected, was to force kids to rape and torture each other. And they did this to make the kids feel guilt and to make sure that we would not talk about what happened. They did this to try and break our souls. They did this to try and get rid of empathy and compassion in us and make us more like them, train us to be more like them. They did this to control us. So often, the cult would make us hurt each other as punishment for breaking a rule. Or they would have other people, cult people, torture or murder other kids because supposedly we broke a rule. And it's a way to keep total control over kids. Fear, but also making them feel like they are complicit, making them feel like they are cult, even though they are not, even though they have no choice. And even though we can't fight off adults, we tried, but we couldn't fight off adults. We can't get safe. We couldn't save other kids, even though we tried. So that guilt and shame and control eats away at kids because we feel responsible, because it's horrible to think that we are like our abusers who have caused so much pain and torment and trauma, but it's something the cult does over and over. They also will force us kids to hurt or torture other kids for the child pornography and for the child prostitution, for people who pay for it. So it's also a way for the cults to increase their wealth, because it is, disgustingly, it is something that some people want to watch, whether it is in person and they're paying for it, or through the child pornography and they're paying for it. It's a way for cults to increase their wealth and power and the favors that they can get from people who are rich and powerful or have positions in society that can help them, or from other cults. But being forced to hurt another child does not make us cult. We are not cult. We didn't choose to do it. We had no power. We were powerless. And we can often forget that because, especially if we live with dissociative identity, if we're plural, we have folks inside who feel like they are adults because of all the trauma and the torture that they went through. And because we created them as a child, but we'd already lived through so much torment, they feel so old. And we have protector parts who feel so old, but they are kids, and they were kids, and we were kids when they were created. But so they feel like they can, or they should have been able to, stop the adults. But if you look, take a moment to look now at like a child, even photos or videos or out in the world, a child and adult together, think of the age that you were. There's no way that you could overpower or stop just one adult, never mind a group of powerful adults who are intent on, and who can, and we know they can because we've seen them do it, torture and murder, and who repeatedly have tortured us. There's no way that we could overcome that and the programming and the control that they have. It was never, ever our fault. We were children. There was no way, and many of us were tortured from birth onward. It was never, ever our fault, and the guilt is not ours, and the shame is not ours. That belongs to our abusers. It doesn't belong to us. We were blameless, we were innocent, and we were victims too. So even though they want us to feel like we're perpetrators, so that they can control us more, keep us silent, and so that they can eventually try and make us become like them and take our supposed place in the cult, we are not them. We are not abusers. It was never our fault. And it's really important to hang on to that and to look at where the blame and the shame and the guilt actually belongs, which is the cult and the adults who did this to us. And that also includes when we were forced to kill another child. It was never, ever our fault. I remember fighting back. I remember fighting back in so many ways. It meant I was tortured more. It meant other kids were tortured more. It meant they killed more kids. And I was still powerless. I could not stop the abusers because I was a child. My body was a child's body. We were powerless, even as a teen, but even as an adult. One adult against so many other adults who are intent on murder and torture, who will not hesitate to kill or torture, we are powerless. It is fighting back inside in the ways we can. It is knowing that we are not like them, and it is working on our healing. Those are the really important things. And not holding on to the blame as much as we can, or the shame, and putting it on the real people who deserve it, which is the cult and our abusers.